In this lesson, we're going to learn how to block out the lighting for our level. Alright, so I want you to take the levels folder that we've provided for you in the project files, and what I want you to do is I want you to take that levels folder and copy and paste it into your game folder of your CryEngine SDK. Now, this levels folder, is going to be called single player, and it's going to have forest no lighting. Now, if you like, go ahead and just take this forest no lighting, and you can place that in your existing levels folder if you want to do it that way. Okay. Now, inside of this, we're going to go ahead and open up the forest no lighting.cry file, and we're not going to save this because we don't want a new project or anything like that. So let's give that just a moment to open. Now, once this is open, you're going to notice that there is 0 lighting in this level. There are no little destroyable lights or anything like that. I've even turned the scene to a night scene. Now, we are going to light this level, and in this lesson we're going to block it all out. We're not trying to get any specifics on the lights. We're not trying to be artistic in any way. We are just trying to get a general placement of all of our lights in the scene. So whenever we are lighting a level, there are 5 guidelines that we need to adhere to get a good base on our lighting as a lighting artist. So the first guideline that we have is going to be player guidance. This is the most important guideline that you can adhere to, because player guidance is key to getting the player through your level to have them enjoy your level. So you can have the best designed level ever made, and if your lighting is completely wrong, if it doesn't work for your level, the player is not going to be able to navigate through it, so there is no point of even creating it. The second guideline that you need to follow is to create exit highlighting. And exit highlighting is going to be where we create lights to show the player that this is an exit to an area, to a puzzle, or even to the end of the level, or even to the end of the game. We also have path highlighting, and this is a way to guide the player along different paths to show them that there is a main route, and then there might also be alternate routes as well. The fourth guideline that you should follow is going to be identifying objectives and threats. So we want to use lighting to identify objectives, the beginning of puzzles, and also to identify enemies and their placement. And then finally, the fifth guideline that we want to follow along is hinting. And hinting is going to allow us to hint at alternate paths that would give the player an advantage in some way. It can also be a way to show the player an Easter egg or even a new type of weapon, that is going to be very helpful in a specific level. So all of these guidelines can be interchanged in some way, and they can be modified in some way, but at the core of your lighting, you should follow all of these different guidelines in some shape or form. Now, obviously, your projects are all going to be different, so if you're creating kind of a stealth game, you may want to use some different types of lighting. If you're creating a game that's like the Doom series that was intentionally meant to be dark so that it's scary and confusing, that's maybe something that you want to go for as well. Alright, so to get started in this, let's start blocking in the lighting. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in with an entity and a deferred light, and we're just going to drop one in right here in our scene. Let's make sure that we have that terrain follow and object follow turned on. And let's turn on our icon so we can see the light that we're working with. Now this light, I'm going to go ahead and bump up the intensity because I want to be able to see it as I'm going through and blocking this out. So I'm going to bump up the intensity to 2 on these. Well, let's go ahead and go to 1.5 on that. I'm also going to take the radius down from 10 to 5, in this little area here. So what I'm looking to do is block in my lighting just to show the paths that the player is able to take, in these areas. So I want to show off that this is the pathway to get out of this section. So place that right under there. We want to also show the the area that they start in, so that way they get a little bit of their bearings. So we're going to hit Control C, and we're going to place that right in here. Okay, and just have this little light here just light up this entire section. Okay. Alright, great. So now that we have that light, now we can come out into the main area, and we can start to kind of show off the path that we want them to follow. So at this point, I'm just going to back up a little bit here, and I'm going to select this light right in here. And see if I can get a hold of it. Make sure that, let's see, where did it go? Sorry about that if it's a little confusing. Okay, so now that I've got that light, let's copy it and let's place it. So Control C, and we're just going to place this along our paths. And once we get into areas like this, we want to bring them a little bit closer to the pathways. Okay, they don't have to be this bright, but we just want to block out the main pathway to use. Let's go ahead and follow the terrain just to make this a little bit easier on ourselves. Now we have a couple of different ways that we can go here. We can follow along this path here, or we can come across the creek bed here. And again, we're not trying to create anything exceptionally beautiful or anything like that. We're just trying to create something that is practical. Okay, a way that we can see the lights as we're going along here. Okay. Just continue to block this out. Now you might be wondering, okay, I'm not even sure exactly where we're going to go in this level. Well, we're going to make our way throughout it, and we're going to go all the way to the end to the lighthouse here. So I'm just trying to block out the major pathways to get to that lighthouse. And that's including any alternate paths that we may want the player to take. Now in an area like this where we have boundaries and smaller areas, we can go ahead and we could probably split that up. But I do want to just kind of offer the ability to go down the creek or to go along the path. Okay, that's totally up to the player. So placing that one, let's go ahead and place one right over in here. Just to continue on. Okay. And then we're going to make our way to the creek and then across to this cabin here. I'm going to make sure that we can see that. And then we'll have a pathway that goes right up into there. Let's also make sure that that path or terrain follows on. Okay. I'm going to hit Control C, and I'm just going to continue along this path. And what this is going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us to see the lights that are going to be key into showing off the pathways. Okay, just by blocking it out really quickly like this. Now you might think that this is a little bit of a waste of time because we're not placing lights intentionally, we're just placing them along paths, but I assure you that this is going to save you a little bit of time. Okay, just continuing on, we're going to have a little bit of a bridge here, so let's hit Control C. Just continue to place that along there. Okay, we've got a path up in here. Can't necessarily see. Okay, but we want to kind of show that off. Alright, great. So now, go ahead and continue down this pathway. Okay. And you can just see how blocking this out is going to make things a lot easier. because now I can come in and say, all right, this is going to be a very dark area, so I'm going to need to think about some ways to add lighting to this area and make these paths evident, okay, that the player could traverse across this. Now we do have up here at the top, we didn't continue on around this way, okay, but I do want to make sure that I select this light here and copy it over, because there is a pathway along this way here. And just trying to think of where it's at. There we go. It kind of goes off into this little cave here. And then it goes down this pathway. So this is all just part of the blocking stage. We're just trying to get this to just trying to get an idea of how we're going to place these lights, what is going to be the best way to do so. And we can definitely see right away as we're going through and we're starting to place lights intentionally in a later lesson how this is going to help us out. So just trying to go through this as quickly as possible. You can see that we've got a little bit of a pathway here. It goes up a different section. Okay, and you're getting all kinds of ideas on how you're going to light this, how you're going to use these lights. Are we going to use these as just path highlighting for the main path? Are we going to use these as hinting for showing off alternate paths to items that we can pick up and we can really use in the level? Okay, are these going to be special? Things like that. So getting all kinds of ideas from this as we go along. Okay, and ultimately we end up behind the buildings here, and we're getting to our lighthouse. Okay, and then we even have a path on the other side of these. Okay, nope, that goes right up through the buildings there. So there's a path that comes off of this area to where we can come up to the end here. Oh, and this is the lower half of the lighthouse. Okay, so Control C, we're going to place that there. This is going to be the one part of our town here. And you can see where those lights connect. And then we can get off into the rest of the fishing village. And I'm just going to zoom out a little bit here, make this go a little bit quicker. So if you need to, you can turn off those icons and just hit Control C. Let's try that one more time. Let's try to select that guy. Control C, there we go. And just start placing all of these lights, just to show that critical path. Now some of these are going to be more important than others. Okay, so we may not be able to get into doing too much with these lights, but we do want them to show off different areas. Okay, just highlighting different homes, different buildings, and things like this. And we've got a path here that we didn't see before. And let's make sure that we have the correct object selected. I'm just going to hit Control Z one time. There we go. It looked like I had selected something else by accident. And we've got a pathway here. And we're kind of coming into this little ruin, something like that. So just all kinds of different pathways that we could take in this level. And this is pretty complex, and it all connects to one another. And this is a great example of how level design should work. Okay, just showing a great diverse pathway that we can take. I'm just going to hit Control Z on that. It's not really lighting up anything that I want to see. Alright, so now that we've blocked this out with our lights, we could definitely see the pathway that we need to take throughout our level. And now what we're going to do in our next lesson is we're going to get into really defining the pathways. And we're going to start right back at the beginning of our level. Alright, so I'll see you then.